Hello everyone and welcome back to Pat's Travel Pass. We are checking out Swiss Airlines in business class on our way to Zurich on their 777-300 arriving here in SFO. Come join us. Arriving at SFO the easiest way you can on BART. It's a pretty easy 60-minute ride from the East Bay, and you're right into the international terminal on the G-Gate side where United and Star Alliance are. Here, the very first row, we have Lufthansa as well as Swiss. Unfortunately, we were here maybe 4 hours in advance, and so obviously none of the check-in desks were available. We didn't have our boarding pass, but through some email sleuthing and some email exchanging, we were able to get our boarding passes, and through security, as we didn't have any checked bags. And now we get to visit the Polaris Lounge, which we've reviewed in the past, but we're going to go in more detail. Now, you only get Polaris Lounge with Star Alliance Business, which does not include like SF to Mexico City or Costa Rica. You need to be essentially going over an ocean or exchanging continents in order to access it. Now, United's Polaris Lounge is pretty dang nice. It's all on the second floor here with the buffet and bar with a little bit of seating down below. But let's just take a look here at what you're greeted with. So we have individual cubicles on the left. We have some couples seating on the right. It feels kind of open, but as you move in, you can kind of see there's plenty of seating here with a lot of open tables on the right. The single bar for all of Polaris Lounge on the left. And then we have a long corridor here with more business type seating on the right. Some couches on the left, bathrooms on the far left, and then basically your classic restaurant tables with chairs on one side, booths on the other. And then we have solo seating here with desks. It's actually really thought out. The seating is very different no matter where you go, but it can serve multiple purposes. And here we have the buffet, which was okay, but they had plenty of coffee, plenty of tea. They had lemon water as well. They had a couple chicken dishes, as well as some side options like potato, rice, a soup. So pretty much anything you could probably need. And the best part about Polaris Lounge, in my opinion, is the dining room. Now, this is a first come, first served basis, so I recommend jetting over there immediately, getting your name on the list, and then they will text you when you're ready. Luckily for us, this is about 4 p.m., so a ton of international flights are leaving at this point or later, so it was wide open. Menu's not too crazy. There's some small plates and some entrees and a little bit of dessert, so I recommend just sharing because you can kind of get whatever you want. So we split a salad and a burger. But had to start off this great trip, technically a honeymoon trip with some champagne in these fun glasses, and then we got our salad. Now we split the salad with anticipation that we would be fed on the plane pretty well, so we just wanted a little light bite. Food's pretty good. It did take a while to get out, so I would factor that into your timing as you could spend easily like an hour here. Burger's pretty solid, but I do kind of wish I got my own. It was pretty small, but very tasty. And lastly, the Pizookie. This one was an absolute home run. I highly recommend cleaning your palate with a ice cream and chocolate chip cookie. But with our lunch/dinner or dinner out of the way, we headed back out and camped out to do some plane spotting as well as hit the bar and see what they had to offer. There are 3 different sections of bathrooms, 2 up here on the top deck with one here next to the buffet, and then one downstairs. Bathrooms are all single use, if you will. There's no like men's and women's, which is honestly really nice. But here we are after going up the escalator, and instead of going straight towards the bar, we're going now backwards or to the left. You do have a couple desks here for if you need any questions on your itinerary. You also have studios here for work. And then again, we get into the same kind of seating as we had on the other side towards the buffet, and more bathrooms on the right. Now this is definitely the place to plane spot if you want, because this is closer towards Terminal 3 and all the runways and the apron. The other side is pretty difficult, but yeah, as you can see here, super heavies out of the international terminal with Star Alliance, which was awesome. And SFO was in reverse today, so we got great spotting of all the planes lining up and taking off. Now here's a look at the construction going on at Terminal 3. This is for a 6-story lounge and amenity area, so I'm really looking forward to trying that out in the future. Here is the very end of the top floor of the Polaris Lounge, super quiet. So I highly recommend coming over here, up the escalator and left. They have like some light snacks, but you really have the whole room to yourself, along with outlet chargers. They had some lemon water, hot water, coffee, and just like some candy, nuts, pretty light snacks. Let's go check out downstairs, which is where United actually has their shower rooms. Personally, I have not tried them out as I haven't had a need for it, but it's at the very end of this first floor hallway. I imagine it's a first come, first serve as well, just like the restaurant. So I'd recommend going there first if you have a need for one. Again, they have some light snacks, fruit, and that's kind of it actually. Fruit, tea, coffee, and some drinks. But yeah, here's a look at the shower suites as well as some quiet suites, which could be reserved as well once you arrive. Great plane spotting as well. And this lounge actually won 2019 Best Business Lounge in the World, which is kind of neat. Now here's a look at some cocktails. Vodka Cran on the left for my wife, Old Fashioned on the right for me. Love the real glassware, which is really nice, and they were pretty solid. Make sure to tip your bartender, as these are completely free. And then again, we got great spotting of planes taking off here in reverse. Now, United has recently revamped all their credit cards, which include time limitations on your United Lounge access, even eliminating day pass uses sometimes. The Polaris Lounge is not a part of that, so you can always get in. We got in 4 hours before our boarding time, which was awesome, so I'd highly recommend it to go check it out. But it is time to board the Swiss Airlines 777-300 on our way to Zurich. Cannot be more excited. But we're over here in the G gates, and I believe we were G 9 and 10 technically on LX39. We'll be in row 3, which is the very first row of business class, as I'll show you a little bit later. Now, business class is separated into the tiny cabin in the front rows, actually 4 and 5, but the third and fourth row of the plane, as well as the larger cabin behind. You definitely want to go for the mini cabin, as nobody is walking through the aisle, so it's nice and quiet for sleeping. And you also get first dibs on food as the staff come through or flight attendants come through from front to back. Now, the single seats are costly when it comes to reserving them. I think it was an extra $400. But the 2 seats together, as we have here on the right side of the plane, were free of charge. And here we are, our first view of Swiss business. Of course, I took the window seat with my wife taking the aisle, but it is an awesome seat here. Love the wood finish with the brown seating and the checkered pattern on the stitching. You have a screen in front of you, decent size, and some awesome space underneath. Feeling really good about the seat as an initial impression. You also have a nice fluffy pillow as well as a blanket. Just taking a look around the seat, we got a reading light, a provided water bottle, some noise canceling headphones, a hanger. We have a reading light here and a headphone jack, easily accessible. You pretty much have all the things you could need. Where my foot is right now, that's actually an elevated platform, which was kind of funky, but I kind of liked it. And of course, you get a pre-departure beverage. I believe they had an Avionic. That's Lufthansa's drink, but that was what I believe the red one was. It might have been rosé, I forget. But we both went with the champagne as a proper way to kick off the flight. You also receive this amenity kit in this tin-like box, and you have all the seat controls here. Not ever adjustable, but I would say it was enough to relax as well as lay flat. And here we are checking out all the amenities that we have. Standard seat, but it almost felt like a proper business class seat. Like I felt like I could be doing work here or be on a daytime flight, and it would be a very cozy environment. It would be a professional feeling environment. Something about it with the wood finish really made it feel like a true business class experience. Now we have a little tablet here in order to work the screen. Quickly, staff came around with the business menu, which had dinner for tonight as well as breakfast, which you fill out with a pen and hand to them. They wake you up, or you're already awake, and they serve your meal as pre-selected. I kind of like this because then when you wake up, you don't have to make any decisions. But also, if you're just not feeling great, or maybe you don't want eggs or sausage, you're kind of out of luck. I assume you could ask, but you just kind of got to roll with it. Plenty of wines, plenty of beers, plenty of drinks, even whiskeys, ports, all sorts of stuff, coffees. But had to make a quick stop at the bathroom. Pretty standard 777 lavatory. Love that they have the face spray, the lotion. It's a nice touch, especially for business, and these refreshing wipes, which I appreciated. One was in our amenity kit as well. But otherwise, nothing too crazy on the bathroom. Now, before departure, a hot towel, I was really appreciative of this because it really sets the tone with the champagne, the amenity kit, and the hot towel. I feel like that's a good business class expectation to get at least 2 of the 3 of those. So to get all 3 was a nice touch. Headphone jack here. I like that it was high enough so then it didn't really get in the way of your tray table or your arms. And like I said, here's that elevated platform. And my bag and the pillow and everything went so far in, I actually could not get it when we landed. My wife actually had to reach in to grab it because it was just so far in. So team bulkhead for sure if you want unlimited legroom under there. One negative thing for plane enthusiasts is when SFO's in reverse, the taxi for the G gates to the runway is about as short as it can get. You don't get to take that nice long taxi down to view all the airports. So unfortunately, we had to take a short one, but let's listen in and hear this takeoff. Took a little bit to find where the tray table releases from, but it's by this little button on the shared wall to my left. Tray table is pretty sturdy and definitely good enough for work, I'd say, and I love that you can fold it back to get out if you wanted. While it was in dinner mode, you could not get up. Gin and tonic exactly 30 minutes after takeoff, and we have our appetizer plate, We have our cheese plate with fruit, as well as a grilled artichoke heart with egg sauce, quinoa salad, and crumbled goat cheese, and a very standard salad. It reminds me of the Polaris salad that we get. This definitely could have been spruced up. I was very underwhelmed by the salad presentation and options. Could have been a little bit more creative. Love the emblem here in the silverware, and they gave you plenty of it, which I feel like elevates the class, where they take some of the silverware and then you're just left with a few pieces. I like that they gave you multiple options though, so in case you're not feeling all of them, you could roll with 2. Now our plate was cleared and drinks were refilled. The wine selection on Swiss was excellent, so I would highly recommend giving each a taste. Unfortunately, they do pour them pretty heavy, so you'll have to kind of throw some away if you want to work your way through it. But here is our main. We went with the beef option with carrots and mashed potatoes. Clean plate club, 100%. The meat was really juicy and tender, and I really enjoyed it. And for dessert, we have this cheesecake with a nice crusted top, and then a fruit and cherry sauce or raspberry sauce on the right. Now with dinner service done, I'm absolutely stuffed from our burger and salad in the Polaris Lounge, as well as all the food that they just provided us. Let's get a little bit comfy now. Here's kind of a point of view of me with the fully lay flat bed, trying to fluff up the pillow a little bit, but unlimited legroom here in the bulkhead. As you can see, my backpack is pushed all the way forward and I still can't touch it, and I'm 6 feet tall. So here's another look at the bed from the side. Pretty dang wide. Didn't really have any issues on the shoulder, but man, I slept like 7 hours nonstop after dinner service. Now here's our pre-selected breakfast menu. I got some eggs with some vegetables, as well as a pastry and some fruit. Honestly, pretty good. Didn't really need all of it since I was still kind of full from last night. No air vents above, classic European carrier. And let's actually look at the TV. Honestly, plenty of movie selections, but didn't really watch anything. Kind of just watched my own stuff. But they had plenty of options, and the best part, we have the command view here. All the data anyone could ever imagine. The only thing is that it's not really customizable from what I found. It's very much this is what you get, but so much information. Now as we're making our way over Europe, we got the blanket amiss, we got the pillow amiss. Had to kind of reorganize, but let's take a look at the amenity kit. Eye mask out of the gate, some nice Swiss red socks, some chapstick, earplugs, toothpaste. Couldn't get that open, just like Lufthansa. And we have a toothbrush, wooden, not too bad. Pretty much the bare minimum, I'd say, for a business class amenity kit. But I love the little tin. It was pretty easy to pack. Now here's another look at me trying to reach the ottoman down there with my backpack. Really couldn't. And here's a quick look at the cabin. As you can see, it's in a 1-2-2, and then behind us is a 1-2-2. So all the middles have 2 seats, and then the sides alternate 1-2, 1-2. So it's 5 across all the time, which is kind of an interesting layout. A little bit better than Lufthansa, which runs a 2-2-2 in their old configuration. Now the seat, you could adjust firmness, which was nice. I didn't realize that until after it was too late. Love that they came around with a little towelette as well to clean up after breakfast, and these little Swiss chocolates, which you can find in the lounges in Zurich. Love the touch on this. And here we go. Another plane spot just zooming past about 1,000 feet below us. And this was an awesome view as we came into the Swiss Alps. Be able to see them from that far. And here we are, touchdown in Zurich, about 10 hours and 20 minutes after takeoff last night. We left at 8:45 p.m. from San Francisco, landing here in the mid-afternoon into Zurich's satellite gate. Now, this isn't even a hot take, but this is Swiss's best lounge, is at the satellite gate. So I highly recommend for plane spotting, quietness. Now, you haven't entered the Schengen area because we landed from the US, but you're still able to access the lounge, which I really appreciated them cooperating with us on. We ended up going through into customs and entering Europe, and that lounge, I think it was in the A gates, was horrific. It was packed. There's no windows, no seats, so I'd highly recommend sticking over here for the awesome plane views. They have a terrace outside, which I highly recommend, and just plenty of seating. Now, how did we book it? Now, let's start on the top left. We originally booked this a year in advance, jumped on the Washington, D.C. to Athens with a stop in Istanbul for 70,000 Aeroplan points each, one way. Now, that is based on distance because Aeroplan is strictly distance-based. It was a flat 70,000 for a saver fare. I then, a month later, saw that we could go from St. Louis. So I'm like, okay, great. We're moving farther west, and for the same amount of miles, 70,000 miles, let's switch to that. Now, with Aeroplan, it does cost to change. I believe it was $50 or so to switch to that. But I'm like, that's worth it because the flight to get over there is going to make up the difference. But then a couple months later, I found San Francisco to Athens with a stop in Zurich for 90,000 miles. That is driven because SFO to Athens is the distance that they're measuring, which is what triggered the extra 20,000 miles each, again with a change fee. But we ended with the best itinerary that we could with a direct flight on a really good carrier with Star Alliance, so I thought that was worth it. And for transferring to Aeroplan, I mainly used Chase points in order to get those over there, but definitely one of the most valuable transfer partners out there. But this is how you could book this trip with just a few points. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.